Given a cubic, f of x equals qx cubed minus 7x squared plus r. Q and r are constants, we've got to try and figure them out. We're told that f of x has a factor x plus 1, and that means f of minus 1 is going to equal 0 by the factor theorem. So let's sub that in. I'm going to get minus q minus 7 plus r equal to 0. So I'll write it as minus q plus r equals 7. Okay, I'm going to get simultaneous equations. I can see where this is going. We're then told when f of x is divided by 2x plus 1, the remainder is 7. So now I'm going to be using the remainder theorem. It's going to be f of minus a half. Essentially, that's the solution for this thing equaling 0. And that is going to then equal 7. I don't need to do any division here whatsoever. Don't do that. Just use the factor theorem and the remainder theorem. 7 minus a half, well, minus a half cubed is actually minus 1 over 8. Use your calculator if you prefer. So minus 1 over 8 cubed. And when you square it, you get a quarter. So it's minus 7 over 4 plus r is going to equal 7. I'm going to times through by 8 here. So I'll get minus q minus 14 plus 8r equals 56, which means minus q plus 8r is going to equal 70. I've got two equations, two unknowns. Let's just write them here together. Nice thing is that the coefficients of the q are the same, so I can just directly subtract them. But in fact, it's either the bottom minus the top, or I could move them round. Put that one above and then subtract. So I'm left with 7r equals 63, r equals 9. And if I put it back into this one, then I'll get minus q plus 9 is equal to 7. So q is going to equal 2. It's actually part 1. It's kind of all over the place. Let's just fence it off and look at part 2. So now I know that I have f of x equaling 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 9. We're asked to fully factorize it. So for this, I'm going to use polynomial division. Don't want to divide through by 2x plus 1. I mean, that will give a remainder of 7. But I really want to get the factors. So it's going to be the x plus 1 that I divide by. Now, I strongly advise this. Use a little placeholder for x and just call it 0x, because we will get some x terms potentially along the way during the division. Then this is just like a little algorithm to practice. I've got other videos that go into detail on it and practice it. So 2x cubed divided by x gives 2x squared. Then multiply back through by this, 2x cubed plus 2x squared. This is just taking long division slash short division to the next level. Then we get minus 9x squared when I subtract them, bring down the 0x. X is into minus 9x squared, going minus 9x. And I get minus 9x here. When I multiply that through, subtract gives me 9x plus 9. Remember, I'm expecting a remainder of 0 at the end, and we get it. So, therefore, f of x equals 2x squared minus 9x plus 9 times x plus 1. Just got to try and factorize this one now. It kind of feels like it's going to. So I'm going to go for it in a couple of ways. One is going to use a calculator as like a quick method, but I do advise just practicing this. Even if you think you struggle with it, just keep practicing, find a way that works. If it's going to factorize, it's got to be 2x and x here. and I'm trying to find numbers that multiply to give 9. Forget the minus 9, we'll deal with that in a minute. We do know, however, that they're both going to be negative because I get a minus here. So actually don't completely forget the minus 9. Um, let's try 3 and 3. Actually, I think this is going to work straight away. When I do 2x times 3, I'll get 6x. When I do 3 times x, I'll get 3x. There's only 9 and 1 as the other options, actually. There weren't too many here. So it's going to become minus 3 and minus 3, because I'll then get minus 6x and minus 3x, and that's what I want to get the minus 9x. That will work. And actually, that's all I'm interested in. I'm asked to fully factorize it, not solve it. This is my answer. And finally, we're asked to hence solve this cubic here. And the word hence means that use our previous knowledge. Actually, you can even see our values of q coming out is 2 here, and r is 9. So kind of like that's real reinforcement that we did the first bit correctly. This is in fact a hidden cubic. Got to realize that. So I'm going to let x equal 2 to the power of y, because then x squared will be 2 to the power of y all squared, which actually becomes 2 to the 2y, and x cubed will then become 2 to the 3y. So that substitution is really important, because then we just get 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 9 equals 0. And we know how to factorize that because we did it in the previous part. So x is going to equal 3 over 2, 3, or minus 1. And remember, that is actually 2 to the y. That's what we're solving for. So 2 to the y is 3 over 2, 3, or minus 1. I'm going to reject this one because an exponential is always positive. The rest, however, are okay. So we can do log to base 2. Y is going to be log to base 2 of 3 over 2. Just leave it like that. It's not asking me to leave it in any specific form. And I would leave it exact, or log to base 2 of 3. Those are our two answers. I just remembered one thing. I think I said I would go through a second way of factorizing this quadratic. Okay, it's just to speed things up, and it really helps if you're struggling with it. So I'm actually going to solve the quadratic using the quadratic formula, using my calculator. So I'll type in 2x squared minus 9x plus 9. And we actually get the solutions. We get 3 as a solution, so that means I need x minus 3 as a factor. And then I get 3 over 2. So it kind of tells you to do x minus 3, x minus 3 over 2. But we know that's not going to quite work because the coefficient is 2. So I'm going to times this second one through by 2, which takes me back to 2x minus 3. So that's just a little helping hand to help you factorize if you want. Okay, well done on this question.